Hey folks, I'm Vasel, and this week I thought that while we were at Essen in Germany, a big game fair, I would talk a little bit about my games that did not make my top 100. So 101 to 260. Why 260? Well, originally I made it 250, but since I'm doing these in groups of 20, I'm going to talk about 20 games at a time. 260 made it a little bit more even. So that's the only reason we're going up to 260. You might say, why do I care about this? Well, maybe you don't, in which case, plenty of other videos that you can watch on our channel. I hope you enjoyed them. But maybe you want to hear about some games. I think all these games are actually fantastic. It's just that they all can't fit my top 100. My top 100 is my favorite games of all time, and each year there's going to be more and more games. 500-600 games come out every year. So new games get in the top 100 and push others out. So without further ado, I'm going to do kind of a quick rundown here of all the different games that we have here from 260 to 241. So we're going to try to make this quick. So here we go. Number 260 is Rhino Hero. Rhino Hero Rhino Hero Super Battles, the stacking card game. Just really enjoy this one. It works well for kids. It's really small, actually. Well, the Super Battle's a bigger box, but still, not a lot of things. Some cards. You stack cards. I've always liked stacking the cards more than blocks. Rhino Hero is hilarious fun for kids and adults. Then we have Starfares of Catan. Please, Mayfair, or actually Mayfair doesn't have this anymore. Whoever has the rights to this, I think Asmodee does, or Cosmos for sure, please reprint this. Starfares of Catan, cool, really neat little toy ships, as it's basically like Settlers of Catan, but in space. You have to go out and explore. You have this neat ship that you upgrade the engines on, the guns on it. There is even a little bit of a storytelling aspect. You run into pirates. What do you do? Great game. 258 is a tie between two games, Steam and Railroad Tycoon, or Railways of the World. These are both variations on Age of Steam. I liked Age of Steam. It was in my top 10 for a while. As time has gone by, the harsh, unforgiving nature of the game, these two seems a little bit stricter than Railways of the World. That game is much more grandiose, but I still like the idea of building the trains, picking up cubes, and delivering them. Railways of the World is a really beautiful game, too. Has some really neat pieces. Steam's tighter, probably a better game, and can use many of the Age of Steam maps. I like them both. Then for 257, we have Dominant Species. Now, Dominant Species is a great game, and I really think highly of it. The reason it's so low comparatively, again, it's above thousands and thousands of other games, is just because it's a longer game, much harder for me to get this one to the table. And these harder, longer games that are somewhat unforgiving of mistakes, which Dominant Species is, I don't get to play them as much, so they drop on the list. But I still think it's a fantastically designed game. Really cool as you take your species, whether it's humans or apes, I guess, or bugs or spiders, whatever they are, and you're going up and fighting everyone else and growing and expanding. Really neat stuff. It should have better components. 256 is Apples to Apples. Now, Apples to Apples gets a lot of flack these days because, well, you know, it's the party game that started everything and most people don't play it. But still, I just played this one recently, brought it out, and it's so easy to play. You just throw a red card on the table. Everyone laughs. Party games, it started a whole genre. We got to give it respect for that. It's really defined party gaming in general, but it still is fun. I can bring it out and people will enjoy it. 255 is Rex, Final Days of the Empire, which is a re-theming of Dune. So I could say Dune here too. I like them both. I think the Dune theme is a little better, but Rex is a better game. They streamline some of the factions, and it's set in the Twilight Imperium universe. Really solid game here, as everyone is working together and against each other. You can have a win together. It's a little longer than it should be, but just some really neat mechanisms. The problem is it works best with a full complement of players. When you have that, what a good game. Number 254 is War of the Ring. You say, what? War of the Ring? You're crazy, Vasel, for having it so low. Again, it's so high, above thousands of others. But also, Battle of the Five Armies is something I think I prefer. War of the Ring is great, but it is long, very, very involved. I think it's fantastic. It is Lord of the Rings in a box. I just don't play it as much these days. 253 is Warrior Knights. Same thing. Warrior Knights is almost the fantasy version of Twilight Imperium. Fantasy is probably a strong one, the medieval version. Fantasy, there's not much fantasy in this game at all. And you have these different castles, and you're dealing with religion, and you're dealing with politics. And if you have the expansion, which you should, you deal with technology. A lot of fun going back and forth. There's political phases, sending people off to explore new lands. Just really a cool game. It's just long. That's Warrior Knights. Link, which is spelled very weirdly. Z just taught me this game this year. This is in the GIF series. It's one of my favorite games of that series. You'll see other games higher on my list here. But Link, the different color, just having the different pieces, and yeah, right, different colors on this one, and how those work together. I really like the two-player abstract games in the GIP series, not all of them, but I like how they look for sure. But this one not only looks good, but also plays really well, and it gives you that strategy, but also a lot of tactics. How am I going to deal with my opponent's last move? Bitter Up. This is the board game version of your bluffing. This game I just played recently. Really enjoy this one as you are going around and bidding in different auctions for set animals, trying to get a set of 4 animals, and you're also then trading these animals, but bluffing each other and trying to trick the other person into taking money bills that are worth nothing. Great fun game. Bitter Up. 250 is Through the Desert. Through the Desert, a great abstract game. I think this one is being reprinted again from Z-Man, if I'm not mistaken. This one with the little pastel camels, and you're putting them down. This is the game that I would rather play this any day over Go. There's a lot of similarities to Go as you're trying to seal off sections of the board, but it's also way simpler. You're just adding 2 camels to the board in your turn, making your lines of camels longer, trying to hit point tiles. Really great game, Through the Desert. 249 is Battlestar Galactica. Now, whether you like the series or not, if you like the series, you'll love the game, I think. And if you don't like the series, who cares? The game is still fun. This is a game that really took Trader to another mechanism. Shadows over Camelot obviously was the game that introduced the Trader mechanic, but this one here took it to a new level, and almost to the point where Battlestar Galactica is team versus team, as you have the Cylons versus the humans. Nail biter, really strong theme, Battlestar Galactica. 248 is Arkham Horror. Now, Arkham Horror has been replaced these days with Eldritch Horror for me. Eldritch Horror is a big, romping adventure game. I really enjoy that game. It's a lot of fun, and it's replaced Arkham Horror, but Arkham Horror still had that whole go around town, creepy card. I'm not even a big Cthulhu fan, guys, and yet this whole, ooh, what am I going to find next? Ooh, what's that? It was really cool in Arkham Horror. My number 247 is Warhammer Adventure Quest. Now, Warhammer Adventure Quest is a game in which you, it's a cooperative game, and you're working together to go through kind of a dungeon, and you find things, and you go on adventures, and it's very story-driven. Unfortunately, Games Workshop and Fantasy Flight Games have had a break, and so while there was a few small expansions to add more heroes, they never added more adventures, which I was really excited for. So there's not as much content, which is why it's lower on my list, but it would be higher. That, I think some of the things in this game are really unique. It's interesting how you level up your characters. Really a fantastic game. If you can find a copy of it, I definitely recommend playing it. Number 246 is the Dungeons & Dragons Attack Wing. I like Attack Wing. I like X-Wing, the Star Trek Attack Wing. The D&D one I really enjoyed because not only did it have flying units and dragons, I mean, this is the first game that really did a good job at having you swooping around the board with dragons fighting each other, but also had ground units that would go around and attack one another too. Really, really good. Then Sushi Go. Sushi Go Party, specifically, from Phil Walker Harding. This is a great drafting game. You simply draft some cards. You decide whether you're going to keep them or not. You have them in front of you in different sets worth amounts of points. Highly recommend it. Sushi Go. Where are we at now? 244, Arcane Academy. This game came out last year to no fanfare. No one talked about it. But this game, an Eric Lang game, I think he did it with Kevin Wilson, where you put cards down and you put them in a machine. You're playing these cards and then you run your machine and you cast different spells based on how they connect to other cards. Wasn't a very long game, 45 minutes or so. Allowed you to do all kinds of cool combos. Really an excellent game. Maybe it was the cover or the name, but Arcane Academy. Capital is my number 243. This is a city building game. I tend to like city building games, so this one is one that I enjoy a lot. As you build up the city of, I think you're building Warsaw in Poland, and you're building it back with these different tiles, and you're taking these tiles and drafting tiles and putting them in your city. It doesn't look that fantastic. It looks a little drab, the game, but it's really quite good, and how you put the tiles out in your city can affect you, how many points you get. Simple, but yet offers a lot of tactics. Then we have Magecraft. Magecraft is a bag building game in which you're going to be throwing different gems in a bag and then pulling from this bag the different gems, which will allow you to cast spells. It works really well. This two-player game back and forth as you're trying to set up chains of spells that you can cast at somebody else. Magecraft. Number 241 is Amun-Re. Amun-Re is an auction game that was just reprinted by Tasty Minstrel Games from Dr. Rainer Knizia. Now, Amun-Re is a auction game, like I said, where you're building pyramids all over the place. I was kind of like, I don't know about this, but the auction is fun because there's different spots to place your people on the board. When you place your person on a bid, someone could place it on a higher bid, and then you have to pull your guy off and bid somewhere else. That's a really clean concept of bidding, works well, and you're building pyramids, but halfway through the game, whoop, everything's wiped, and now those pyramids remain, and those pyramids you built so hard and got points for, someone else can bid and get them. No, they're not going to get them, and I love that concept. It's a really cool thing. As the pyramids grow, it shows a nice concept of time. The game has two very distinct halves. It just all comes together really cleanly. Highly recommend it, Amun-Re. I know we still got a lot more to go from this point, but I thought this would be fun to take a look all the way up to 100. We'll do 20 at a time. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching Tom's Next Best Games, I guess we'll call this. You've been watching The Dice Tower.